how many people would a nuclear war between the United States and Russia kill?
So I'm coming back at you with a very dark answer and a very big number. And that number is 5 billion people.
You go second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, what would happen if the nuclear war started. So there's a lot of angles from which I would love to talk to you about this. At first, how would the deaths happen in the short term and the long term?
So to start off, the reason I wrote the book is so that readers like you could see in appalling detail just how horrific nuclear war would be. And as you said, second by second, minute by minute. The book covers nuclear launch to nuclear winter. I purposely don't get into the politics that lead up to that or the national security maneuvers or the posturing or any of that. I just want people to know nuclear war is insane. And every source I interviewed for this book, from Secretary of Defense, all retired, nuclear subforce commander, Stratcom commander, FEMA director, etc., on and on and on, nuclear weapons engineers, they all shared with me the common denominator that nuclear war is insane. First millions, then tens of millions, then hundreds of millions of people will die in the first 72 minutes of a nuclear war. And then comes nuclear winter, where the billions happen from starvation. And so the shock power of all of this is meant for each and every one of us to say, wait, what? This actually exists behind the veil of national security. And I don't know, most people do not think about nuclear war on a daily basis. And yet hundreds of thousands of people in the nuclear command and control are at the ready in the event it happens.
But it doesn't take too many people to start one.
In the words of Richard Garwin, who was the nuclear weapons engineer who drew the plans for the Ivy Mike thermonuclear bomb, the first thermonuclear bomb ever exploded in 1952. Garwin shared with me his opinion that all it takes is one nihilistic madman with a nuclear arsenal to start a nuclear war. And that's how I begin the scenario.
What are the different ways it could start? Like literally, who presses a button? And what does it take to press a button?
So the way it starts is in space, meaning the U.S. Defense Department has a early warning system. And the system in space is called SBIRS. It's a constellation of satellites that is keeping an eye on all of America's enemies so that the moment an ICBM launches, the satellite in space, and I'm talking about 1/10 of the way to the moon, that's how powerful these satellites are in geosync. They see the hot rocket exhaust on the ICBM in a fraction of a second after it launches, a fraction of a second. And so there begins this horrifying policy called launch on warning, right? And that's the U.S. counterattack, meaning the reason that the United States is so ferociously watching for a nuclear launch somewhere around the globe is so that the nuclear command and control system in the U.S. can move into action to immediately make a counterstrike. Because we have that policy, launch on warning, which is exactly like it says. It means the United States will not wait to absorb a nuclear attack. It will launch nuclear weapons in response before the bomb actually hits.